Growing older is something we all experience. It's a natural, beautiful part of life's journey. But as the years go by, it's easy to develop certain habits without even realizing their impact. These little patterns might seem harmless at first, but over time, they can quietly push away the people we care about most. It's not because we want to hurt anyone. Often, it's simply that no one ever tells us how our words or actions affect others. Maybe it's the way we always seem to complain about the aches, the rising costs, or how the world feels like it's moving too fast. Or maybe we find ourselves stuck talking only about health problems, forgetting to share the joys or stories that made us smile. Sometimes, it's just a matter of holding too tightly to old opinions or missing out on the present moment by living in the past. Whatever it is, these habits can create invisible walls between us and the people who love us. But here's the good news. By simply becoming aware and making small changes, we can open our hearts again, strengthen our connections, and enjoy the precious relationships we've worked so hard to build. Let's explore these common habits together, so we can grow older with grace and keep the people we love close by our side. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Constant complaining. As we move through the later chapters of life, it's only natural to feel the weight of the years. Our joints might ache in the morning, the cost of groceries seems to rise every week, and sometimes it feels like the world around us is spinning faster than we can keep up with. There's no denying that getting older brings its own set of challenges. It's only human to want to talk about the frustrations we face. But without realizing it, those frustrations can become the centerpiece of our conversations. Over time, we may start to complain more often about our health, the news, our neighbors, the weather, the younger generation, or just the state of things. What begins as harmless venting can easily slip into a habit of constant complaining. Imagine this. You pick up the phone to call an old friend, someone you've known for decades. You start chatting, and before you know it, the conversation turns into a list of grievances. The price of gas, the noisy neighbor, the doctor's appointment that took forever, how everything used to be better back in the day. At first, your friend listens patiently. But as this pattern repeats, you may sense their enthusiasm fading. They don't call as often. When you do talk, the conversations seem shorter, less warm. It's not that your struggles don't matter. Of course, they do. But people, even those who love us, can start to feel drained when every interaction centers around what's wrong. The heavy mood seeps in, and soon the simple joy of connecting begins to disappear. Most of us don't set out to become chronic complainers. Sometimes, we don't even notice how our words sound to others. After all, life's difficulties are real, and sharing them can be a way to find comfort or validation. But it's easy to get stuck in a rut, focusing on the negative so much that it becomes a defining feature of our daily interactions. Friends and family, especially the younger ones, may start to avoid long phone calls or drop-in visits. Even the people we see at church, in the neighborhood, or at the grocery store might start offering polite smiles instead of stopping to chat. It's a quiet kind of loneliness, and it grows slowly, fed not by malice but by the steady drip of complaints. But the beautiful thing about human nature is our ability to change, even if it's just a little bit at a time. The next time you feel the urge to complain, try pausing for a moment. Look for something small that went right today, a blooming flower in the yard, a grandchild's funny story, a favorite song on the radio. Share that little bit of light in your conversation, and notice how the energy shifts. People are drawn to warmth and positivity. They want to feel uplifted, especially when life is challenging. You don't have to pretend everything is perfect, but weaving a bit of gratitude or humor into your words can make all the difference. In the end, we all want to feel heard and understood. There's nothing wrong with sharing your struggles, but when those become the only songs we sing, the people we love may start to tune us out. By balancing honesty about life's hardships with an openness to joy, we can keep our connections alive and give our friends and family a reason to look forward to every conversation. 2. Talking only about illnesses. As the years pass, it's almost impossible not to notice the growing list of aches, pains, and health challenges that come with aging. The little reminders are everywhere. A stiff knee in the morning, a pill organizer sitting on the kitchen table, doctor's appointments marked on the calendar. Sometimes, these daily realities feel so overwhelming that they seep into nearly every conversation we have. Before long, health updates become the default topic, slipping easily into calls with family, chats with friends, and even casual run-ins at the grocery store. There's nothing wrong with sharing what's going on with your body. After all, your loved ones care deeply about your well-being. They want to know if your back is acting up again, or if the new medication is finally helping you sleep. But when every single conversation turns into a running commentary on blood pressure, cholesterol levels, or the latest test results, it can begin to feel as if you've been cast as a permanent patient, and the people around you have become a captive audience. Imagine a granddaughter who used to look forward to weekend visits, eager to share her stories and laughter. But each time she arrives, she's greeted with a detailed rundown of prescriptions, side effects, and the latest complaints about the healthcare system. After a while, those visits start to dwindle. She might still come for holidays or special occasions, but the warm, easy conversations the two of you once enjoyed are replaced by polite small talk and quick goodbyes. The bond, though still present, begins to weaken under the weight of so much medical talk. It's not that your family doesn't care about your health. They do. But they also want to feel a real connection with you, to hear about your hobbies, memories, or the little joys that brighten your day. They want to know what you think of the new book you're reading, or whether you've tried that recipe from the cooking show you both like. Sharing life outside the world of symptoms and appointments is what keeps relationships vibrant and meaningful. For many of us, health becomes a central focus because it's always on our minds. It can be a way to process fear, frustration, or even loneliness. But it's worth remembering that you are so much more than a collection of symptoms or diagnoses. There's a full, rich person behind every ache, a person with stories, opinions, humor, and wisdom gathered over a lifetime. Try, just for a moment, to steer the conversation in a different direction. Ask your son about his latest fishing trip. Listen to your friend's funny story about their grandkids. Share a memory from your childhood or talk about a movie you enjoyed. Let your loved ones see the whole you, the one who still gets excited about life, who can be curious, silly, or thoughtful, even in the face of health challenges. Of course, it's okay to talk about your health sometimes. But when you let other parts of your life shine through, you give those around you a reason to stay close. You invite laughter, curiosity, and real connection back into your relationships. And that, in the end, is far more healing than any prescription. 3. Being too opinionated. There's a special kind of wisdom that comes with living through so many decades. By the time we reach our golden years, we've seen our share of wars, peace, heartbreaks, new beginnings, and moments that have shaped not just our own lives but the world around us. It's natural to feel like we've earned the right to speak our minds. We have. Our experiences are valuable, and our opinions are the result of hard-won lessons. But sometimes, without even noticing, the confidence that comes with age can slip into stubbornness, and our good intentions can begin to sound more like lectures than conversations. Think about those family gatherings where stories and ideas bounce around the table. Maybe your daughter shares how she's raising her kids, or your son talks about new technology at work. It's easy to want to chime in. After all, you've raised children, balanced budgets, managed a household, and weathered many storms. But if every suggestion comes out as a correction, or if every difference in opinion turns into a debate that must be won, people begin to feel like they're under a microscope instead of being heard. What starts as friendly advice can quickly turn into a point of tension. Take Harold, for example, a 74-year-old father and grandfather. He always thought he was just helping his daughter by sharing what he'd learned about parenting. "You should do it this way," he'd say, or "back in my day, we never let kids talk back." To him, it was simply sharing his knowledge. But to his daughter, it felt like criticism, like no matter what she did, it wasn't quite good enough. Over time, she started calling less often. She dreaded bringing the grandkids over, afraid of another round of unsolicited advice or gentle judgment. No parent or grandparent ever wants to push their loved ones away. Yet, when opinions are delivered as ultimatums, my way or the highway, or conversations are treated as battles to be won, the people we care about most can feel unheard, undervalued, and even unwelcome. Relationships thrive on understanding and respect, not on proving who's right. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The truth is, being opinionated isn't the problem. It's forgetting to listen that gets in the way. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is to simply say, "I see where you're coming from," or "That's an interesting perspective." Even if you don't agree, acknowledging someone else's view opens the door to an honest connection. It shows your family and friends that you value their thoughts and that you trust them to find their path, just as you once did. There's still a place for your stories, your wisdom, and your advice, but let them be an offering, not a requirement. When you share your experiences with humility and a willingness to listen, you create space for others to share theirs, too. The result is a richer, warmer relationship where everyone feels respected, understood, and, above all, loved. In the end, it's not about winning arguments. It's about keeping hearts close. 4. Neglecting personal hygiene. Aging brings so many unexpected changes, and some of them are easy to talk about, like silver hair or laugh lines that deepen with every year. But other changes tend to slip under the radar, even though they matter just as much. The daily routines that keep us feeling good about ourselves, like personal hygiene. It's not an easy topic, but it's an important one because how we care for ourselves says a lot about how we feel inside. For many older adults, the simple acts of showering, brushing teeth, changing clothes, or combing hair can become burdensome. Maybe arthritis makes it painful to reach, or maybe energy runs low after a restless night. Sometimes, after years of routines, the motivation just fades, especially when the days all start to look the same. Without work to get ready for or social events to attend, it can seem easier to let things slide. After all, who's going to notice? But the truth is, the people around us do notice, even if they never say a word. There's a quiet heartbreak in watching someone you love stop caring for themselves. One caregiver shared how her father, once a sharp dresser who took pride in his appearance, slowly began to let things go. At first, it was small, issuing a shave here, skipping a shower there. Then the changes became more noticeable: wrinkled clothes, an unwashed scent in the room, forgotten teeth brushing. She wanted to help, but it was a delicate subject. Bringing it up felt awkward, and she didn't want to embarrass him. But at the same time, she found it harder to sit close, to share the same warmth they once did. Personal hygiene isn't just about looking presentable to others. It's a sign of self-respect, a way to tell the world, I still care about myself, and I still matter. Clean clothes, a combed head of hair, or the fresh feeling after a warm shower, all remind us that we deserve to feel good, no matter our age. And for those who visit us, it sends the message that we value their presence enough to put in that little extra effort. Letting hygiene slip doesn't mean you're lazy or don't care. Sometimes, it's about physical limitations or depression, real challenges that can be hard to talk about. But taking small steps, like setting out clothes the night before, keeping soap and towels within easy reach, or asking a family member for help, can make a big difference. Even on days when it feels tough, making the effort to stay clean is a gift to yourself and those around you. When we care for our bodies, we nurture our dignity, our self-worth, and our connection to others. Those little acts, washing up, putting on a fresh shirt, running a brush through your hair, become quiet ways of saying, I am still here, and I still matter. In doing so, you not only honor yourself, but you make it easier for your loved ones to stay close, offering them the comfort and connection that everyone needs, no matter how old we get. 5. Living in the past. There's something deeply comforting about slipping into memories of the past. For many of us, looking back on old times is like wrapping up in a favorite quilt, soft, warm, and filled with stories that shaped who we are. We remember first loves, the laughter of young children, big family gatherings, and the songs that played on the radio when we first learned to drive. Sharing these memories can be a joy, a way to connect with others, and keep those moments alive. But sometimes, without meaning to, we find ourselves living so much in the past that we forget to be present for what's happening right now. It's easy to fall into this habit, especially when life feels quieter or lonelier than it once did. Maybe the house is emptier these days. Maybe you've lost people you loved, and the world feels a little less familiar. There's a natural pull to the comfort of days gone by, when everything seemed simpler and more certain. So we tell our stories about how we met our spouse, the excitement of our first car, what it was like to raise a family in a different era. We relive those moments over and over, sometimes because we're afraid of what the future holds, or because the present doesn't offer the same sparkle. But here's where the trouble can start. When every conversation turns into a walk down memory lane, the people around us, especially the younger ones, begin to drift away. They listen politely to stories they've heard a dozen times, but deep down, they're longing to share a part of their own lives too. Your children want to tell you about their new job or a challenge they're facing at work. Your grandkids want to show you the music they love, the silly videos they found online, or the adventures they had at school. When we stay rooted in yesterday, we sometimes forget that the present is filled with its gifts, waiting to be noticed and shared. A wise friend once said that memories are like seasoning. They make life richer when sprinkled in, but they shouldn't be the whole meal. The people who love us want to connect with us now, to feel that we're sharing this moment in time with them. That doesn't mean letting go of your stories. Instead, it means making space for curiosity. Ask your grandchild what they're excited about, or listen to your neighbor's funny story. Even if the world feels different, there's always something new to discover. Being present for those around you is a powerful way to show love and respect. It tells your family and friends that their lives matter to you, just as yours does to them. By balancing cherished memories with genuine interest in today, you keep relationships alive and growing. Life moves forward, and though the past will always be a part of us, there's beauty to be found in the here and now. So share your stories, but remember to look up and see the new memories waiting to be made. 6. Criticizing younger generations. Every generation looks at the ones that follow and sees something a little strange, maybe even unsettling. It's been that way for centuries. As we age, it's tempting to notice all the ways kids these days seem different from how we grew up. Their music is louder, their clothes are stranger, their words sometimes sound like a new language altogether. The world they live in moves at the speed of light, and sometimes it's easy to feel left behind or even a bit disrespected by their choices. We might find ourselves shaking our heads as we watch teenagers glued to their phones, or we grumble about how no one writes thank you notes anymore. Maybe we remember a time when people dressed up for dinner, or when a handshake meant everything. It's natural to feel nostalgic for the values and traditions we were raised with. But here's the thing. If our conversations with children and grandchildren are filled with criticism, pointing out what's wrong with their music, their manners, or the way they live, the walls go up quickly. No one likes to feel judged, and the younger generations are no different. I remember hearing from a grandmother who loved her grandkids more than anything, but she noticed they'd started to visit less and less. One day, her daughter gently explained that the kids felt like every conversation turned into a list of complaints about their clothes, their hair, the time they spent online. The grandmother was heartbroken. She'd only meant to help, to share the standards she grew up with. But in trying to protect the values she held dear, She had unintentionally made her grandchildren feel criticized and misunderstood. It's easy to forget that our parents once thought our music was too loud, our jeans were too tight, and our generation was heading in the wrong direction. Each era has its quirks and inventions. What feels shocking at first often becomes the new normal. The world changes, and so do the people in it. But instead of focusing on the differences, what if we looked for what's good? There's so much to admire in the young. Creativity, courage, resilience, and the ability to dream big in a rapidly changing world. The next time your grandson shows you a new piece of art or your granddaughter tells you about her favorite band, try highlighting their talents or curiosity instead of what you don't understand. Ask questions, show interest, and celebrate their unique journey. Building bridges between generations doesn't mean giving up your values. It simply means meeting young people where they are and letting them know you're on their side. When we shift from criticism to encouragement, we create space for honest connection, and you might be surprised by how much you enjoy seeing the world through their eyes. In the end, what young people need most is the same thing we once needed: acceptance, support, and the freedom to grow into their own lives, knowing they have family rooting for them every step of the way. 7. Gossiping or meddling. In every community, whether it's a small town, a church circle, or a quiet retirement neighborhood, news travels fast. It's human nature to want to know what's happening in the lives of those around us. Sometimes, the urge to share a juicy bit of news or offer advice to a friend or family member is almost irresistible. For many older adults, especially as social circles shrink and routines become more familiar, talking about others or getting involved in their decisions can seem like a way to stay connected, informed, or even helpful. But without realizing it, gossiping or meddling can quietly chip away at trust and closeness, leaving relationships bruised and people feeling exposed or defensive. It often starts innocently enough. A neighbor mentions she saw someone's car parked outside late at night, or a friend brings up a family issue during lunch. The next thing you know, stories get repeated and details become exaggerated. What was once a harmless comment turns into speculation, and suddenly, someone's private business is the talk of the community. While it might feel like just another way to pass the time, gossip can make others wary, wondering what's being said behind their backs. The same is true for meddling. When you care deeply for someone, it's natural to want the best for them, to offer advice, to step in when you see them making what looks like a mistake. But constantly inserting your opinions into situations where you haven't been asked, or trying to fix problems that aren't yours, can backfire. One man shared how his mother would regularly call him and his wife to weigh in on their marriage, parenting choices, and even their finances. She always meant well, but after a while, he found himself dreading her calls and visits. The very advice she thought would help created distance and resentment. The truth is, most people, no matter their age, want to feel trusted, respected, and allowed to live their own lives, even if they stumble along the way. If advice is needed, loved ones will usually ask for it. And if they don't, sometimes the kindest thing you can do is simply listen, offer support, and hold back judgment. Giving people the space to make their own choices, even if you disagree, is a powerful gesture of love. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Letting go of gossip and meddling isn't about turning your back on the people you care about. It's about honoring their boundaries, protecting their privacy, and nurturing trust. Next time you're tempted to pass along a story or give unasked for advice, pause and consider how you'd feel if the roles were reversed. Often, silence speaks volumes. It's the sound of respect, of confidence, of knowing when to let others find their way. Relationships are built on trust, and trust is earned by knowing when to stay silent as much as knowing when to speak up. When you respect the lines that others draw, you help create an environment where everyone feels safe, valued, and free to be themselves. That's the kind of legacy worth leaving. 8. Refusing to adapt or learn. Change is one of the few certainties in life, but as we grow older, it can begin to feel overwhelming. The world seems to spin faster every year. phones that unlock with a glance, new banking rules, and menus that appear only when you scan a code with your camera. It's easy to look at all this technology and newness and think, this just isn't for me. Many seniors find themselves longing for the days when they could pick up a phone and simply hear a friendly voice, or when writing a check was the norm and not a curiosity. There's comfort in the familiar, and it's natural to cling to what we know best. But here's the thing, refusing to adapt or learn new things doesn't just keep you safe from confusion, it can also quietly close doors to connection and opportunity. When we avoid trying something new, we start to drift away from the people and experiences that make life richer. Maybe you hesitate to join in when your grandkids want to play an online game, or you miss out on video calls because you're not sure which button to press. Perhaps you don't visit your doctor's new online portal, or you feel anxious at the checkout counter when they ask for a digital coupon. The result is often isolation, frustration, and a sense that the world is moving on without you. I once heard about a woman in her 80s who'd never used a computer until her nephew bought her a tablet. At first, she was nervous. She worried about breaking something or looking foolish. But her nephew encouraged her, and together, they explored the basics. Soon, she was emailing old friends, video chatting with family across the country, and even playing virtual chess with her grandson in college. She said it made her feel young again, not because she understood everything perfectly, but because she realized she could still learn, still grow, and still be a part of her loved ones' everyday lives. It's not about mastering every gadget or loving every new trend. It's about being willing to step a little outside your comfort zone, to give new things a fair shot, and to stay curious, even when it feels awkward. Asking for help doesn't make you less independent. It makes you connected. Younger generations are often delighted to teach you how to send a text, check the weather on your phone, or order a favorite meal online. And when you join in, however imperfectly, you send a message that you're still interested, still present, and still willing to be part of the changing world. Learning and adapting aren't just for the young. They're lifelong gifts we can give ourselves. Every new skill, no matter how small, keeps the mind sharp and the heart open. And more than anything, embracing change says to everyone around you, I may be older, but I'm not done growing yet. That spirit of openness and curiosity is what keeps us connected, resilient, and full of life, no matter our age. 9. Playing the victim. As we move through the later seasons of life, loneliness can sometimes creep in quietly, even for those surrounded by family or living in friendly neighborhoods. It's easy to notice the empty chairs at the table, or the phone that doesn't ring as often as it once did. Maybe the kids are busy with their own lives, friends have moved away or passed on, and the world feels just a little colder than before. In these moments, it's natural to feel a sting of sadness or to wish things were different. But for many, that sadness can slip into a deeper belief that we've been forgotten, overlooked, or even abandoned. This feeling can take root and grow, turning into a habit of playing the victim. It sounds like, my children never visit me, or nobody calls anymore, or people just don't care these days. These thoughts don't come from nowhere, they're born from real hurt and longing. But over time, when we focus only on what others aren't doing, we risk closing our hearts and building walls instead of bridges. The more we dwell on feeling wronged or left out, the harder it becomes to see the kindness that does come our way, or to take the small actions that might bring connection back into our lives. Imagine a neighbor who's always waiting for someone else to reach out first, sitting by the window, hoping a friend will drop by or the phone will finally ring. Each day that passes without a call or a visit feels like proof that nobody cares. But what if, instead of waiting, she picked up the phone and called someone just to say hello? What if she sent a cheerful birthday card to an old friend, or invited a neighbor over for a cup of tea? These little acts don't just break the cycle of loneliness. They remind us that we still have the power to shape our social world, no matter our age. It takes courage to reach out, especially if you're feeling wounded or disappointed. But making the first move, however small, is a way of taking back your story. It says, I'm still here, and I still have love and friendship to give. You might be surprised at how many people are grateful you called, or how your kindness sparked someone else to reach back. Playing the victim is a habit that can sneak up on any of us, especially when life gets hard. But it's also a habit we can gently set aside. By choosing to be proactive, to offer connection instead of waiting for it, we keep our hearts open to the good that's still possible. Loneliness may be a fact of aging for many, but it doesn't have to be the whole story. Each day we have the chance to be a little braver, to extend a hand, and to remember that connection is something we can create, not just something we wait for. In doing so, we remind ourselves, and others, that we're not powerless, and that love and friendship are always worth a little effort. 10. Being financially controlling. Money can be a complicated subject at any age, but as we get older, the way we handle our finances, and the way we use them within our families, can shape relationships in ways we don't always expect. Many of us want to help our children or grandchildren, maybe paying for college, helping with a car, or lending a hand when times are tough. That kind of support comes from a loving heart, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to make life easier for the next generation. But sometimes, without realizing it, the money we give or manage can become tangled up with conditions and expectations, leaving loved ones feeling pressured, indebted, or even resentful. Imagine a father who helps his adult son with a down payment on a house. He's proud to do it, but every holiday dinner turns into a gentle reminder. Don't forget, I helped you get that house. Or, I hope you're making the most of what I gave you. Or maybe a grandmother who generously gives her granddaughter money for college, but with a list of rules: what she can spend it on, who she can date, what kind of job she should get. The intention is good, but over time, the gift starts to feel more like a leash than a helping hand. When financial support comes with strings attached, even the most grateful children can start to feel uncomfortable. What was meant as a gesture of love begins to carry a hidden price: the expectation of gratitude, loyalty, or obedience. Sometimes it shows up as guilt, feeling like you can't ever say no, or like you owe more than you received. Other times, it leads to arguments and distance, as children try to assert their independence while still honoring their parents' wishes. There's also the habit of using money as a way to control decisions, big or small. Maybe it's insisting that every family vacation be paid for, and therefore planned, by you. Or reminding loved ones that your financial help comes with your opinions on how they live their lives. These actions, even when rooted in love, can slowly erode trust and closeness. But there's a better way. Giving, if you choose to give, should be an act of freedom for both you and the recipient, a way to say, I trust you to make your own choices. When a gift is given with no strings, it allows relationships to flourish without the burden of expectations or unspoken debts. It lets your children and grandchildren come to you out of love, not obligation or guilt. Of course, it's wise to be careful with your resources, and every family is different. But if you find yourself keeping a mental tally of favors or feeling frustrated when loved ones don't act the way you'd like, it may be time to step back and consider what matters most. In the end, real connection comes not from what we give or control, but from the understanding, respect, and trust that we share. Let your support be a true gift, one that brings you closer, not further apart. 11. Refusing help. Independence is something we all value, and for many older adults, it's a source of deep pride. After all, you've spent a lifetime working hard, making decisions, and taking care of others. The idea of needing help, even for small things, can feel like losing a piece of who you are. Maybe it starts when your daughter offers to carry your groceries, or a neighbor wants to drive you to a doctor's appointment. You thank them, but insist, I can do it myself. At first, it's about staying strong, showing the world, and yourself, that you're still capable. But over time, a habit of refusing help can build invisible walls between you and the people who love you. It's easy to see why asking for assistance feels uncomfortable. Accepting help can bring up feelings of vulnerability or even embarrassment. You might worry that you're becoming a burden or that you're giving up your independence bit by bit. But here's what's often overlooked. Allowing others to help you is not a sign of weakness. It's an act of trust and connection. When your granddaughter offers to pick up your prescriptions or your son wants to fix something around the house, it's their way of showing love. Accepting that kindness doesn't make you less. In fact, it draws your family and friends closer. Refusing help, even with the best intentions, can unintentionally shut out those who care about you. Loved ones may start to feel unneeded, or worse, rejected. They want to be involved in your life, to give back some of the care and support you once gave them. When you always say no, you miss opportunities to share small moments, laughing together as you fold laundry, having a heartfelt conversation during a ride to the doctor, or simply letting someone feel useful. I remember a fiercely independent neighbor. She prided herself on doing everything alone, even when her arthritis made it nearly impossible to open jars or carry heavy bags. Her children admired her spirit, but they also worried constantly. One day, her granddaughter tearfully confessed, "I just want to help Grandma, but she never lets me." That stubborn independence, which had once been her greatest strength, had become a barrier to closeness. Letting others help doesn't mean surrendering your autonomy or admitting defeat. It's about accepting the natural give and take that makes relationships thrive. When you say yes to help, you're saying yes to community, to love, and to moments of joy you might otherwise miss. It shows your loved ones that you trust them, and it invites them to share in your journey, both the struggles and the triumphs. Growing older isn't about doing everything alone. It's about finding new ways to stay connected. So the next time someone offers a hand, consider taking it. Let them carry a bag, cook you a meal, or simply sit and listen. You might find that accepting help not only makes life easier but also fills your days with more warmth, laughter, and love. 12. Losing a sense of humor. There's an old saying that laughter is the best medicine, and anyone who's lived a long life knows there's a lot of truth to that. But as the years add up, life can bring its share of aches, losses, and heavy days. It becomes easier, sometimes without even realizing it, to let humor fade quietly into the background. Jokes might seem less funny, or it may feel wrong to laugh when the world brings so much hardship. Yet, the simple gift of a genuine laugh or a wry smile is one of the most powerful ways we can lighten not only our own hearts but also those of everyone around us. Think back to your favorite gatherings, family reunions, old friends' dinners, neighborhood picnics. It's not the perfect food or the spotless house that made those moments memorable. It's the laughter, the stories told for the 10th time that still made everyone chuckle, the inside jokes that lasted for years, the silly moments that seem to dissolve every worry for a little while. When someone brings warmth and a playful spirit to a room, people naturally want to be near them. There's a magnetism in joy that can turn even a cloudy day bright. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. As we get older, it's all too easy to let that light dim. Maybe you're tired, dealing with health problems, or missing someone dear. Maybe you worry that younger people won't get your jokes or think your humor is old-fashioned. But humor isn't just about telling jokes, it's about keeping a playful heart, seeing the funny side of everyday situations, and not taking ourselves too seriously. It's about laughing when your glasses end up on your head, or when the family dog steals your sandwich for the 3rd time this week. Those moments of laughter remind us that we're still alive, still capable of finding joy no matter what comes our way. One woman I knew, a grandmother in her 80s, used to tell people, "I may be wrinkled, but I'm still spicy." Her house was filled with laughter, and her family loved coming over just to bask in her light-hearted spirit. She wasn't ignoring life's challenges, she was choosing to meet them with a wink and a grin. That spirit lifted everyone around her, making them feel younger and more alive, too. Losing a sense of humor doesn't happen all at once. It slips away slowly if we let it. But the good news is, you can always bring it back. Find something every day to smile about, even if it's just a silly cartoon, a funny memory, or a playful comment from a friend. Let yourself laugh at the little mishaps of life, and invite others to laugh with you. A joyful spirit is contagious, and it draws people in, keeping relationships close and hearts light. Growing older doesn't mean growing solemn. Laughter is a sign that your heart is still young, that you're still part of the living, breathing, smiling world. In sharing that laughter, you give a precious gift, not just to yourself, but to everyone lucky enough to share your company. 13. Giving unsolicited advice. As we gather years of experience, it's natural to want to share the wisdom we've earned. We've learned from our successes and mistakes, and often, we see the world through a lens shaped by decades of hard-won knowledge. That desire to help, to guide, and to protect the people we love is a powerful one. But sometimes, in our eagerness to share, we cross an invisible line, offering advice when it's not asked for, and unintentionally turning loving guidance into criticism. Think about those moments when a family member or friend opens up about a struggle, a parenting challenge, a work stress, or a personal setback. It's tempting to jump in with solutions, tips, or stories about how you handled something similar. After all, you want to help, to make things easier for them. But when advice comes too soon or too often, it can feel like a judgment rather than support. The person sharing might just want to be heard, to vent, or to feel understood, not to be fixed. One daughter shared how her mother would frequently interrupt her to correct her choices, even when she hadn't asked for input. Instead of feeling comforted, she felt frustrated and less willing to share in the future. That kind of response can build walls, rather than bridges, in relationships. The truth is, sometimes the most helpful thing we can do is simply listen. Offering empathy, saying things like, "That sounds really hard," or "I'm proud of you for handling that," shows that we're present and caring without trying to control the outcome. It's an invitation to trust, letting our loved ones know they're not alone, even if we don't have all the answers. Of course, there are times when advice is needed, and it's asked for directly. When that happens, your wisdom is a gift, a resource that can guide and inspire. But until then, patience and silence can be the greatest acts of love. Learning to hold back doesn't mean withholding care. It means respecting others' journeys and trusting that they can find their own way. It means remembering that sometimes people just want a listening ear, a warm heart, and the safety to express themselves without fear of judgment. In the end, giving unsolicited advice is often rooted in love, but it's also important to recognize when it might push people away. By choosing to listen more and advise less, we build deeper, stronger connections. We create a space where honesty flows freely, where hearts feel safe, and where love grows without conditions. Sharing our wisdom is a beautiful part of growing older, but so is knowing when to simply be there. Sometimes, the greatest gift we can offer is our quiet presence. Growing older is a privilege that not everyone gets to experience, and with it comes the opportunity to reflect on the way we live and relate to those around us. It's easy to fall into habits that unknowingly push people away, even those we love most deeply. But the good news is that it's never too late to change. Even small shifts in how we communicate, how we show up, and how we open our hearts can make a world of difference. Maybe it's choosing to complain a little less and share more moments of joy. Maybe it's listening more and giving advice less. Or simply accepting help and allowing others to care for us. These changes don't happen overnight, and they don't have to be perfect. What matters is the intention to grow with kindness and curiosity, to nurture the connections that enrich our lives. If any part of this video resonated with you, I invite you to take a moment and think about which habit you might want to work on first. Change starts with awareness, and your presence here shows you care. Sharing your thoughts in the comments below helps create a community where we can learn from one another and support each other on this journey of aging gracefully. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and share it with someone you love who might benefit from hearing this message. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel for more stories and advice about living your best life at any age. Together, we can build a space of understanding, respect, and love, where growing older is truly golden. Stay kind, stay humble, and above all, stay connected.